all. Not only because I play the game myself, but also there's a lot of really useful and interesting things that games actually is so-called influencing the players. And maybe you have kids at home, maybe you have young children or maybe cousins that play games a lot. If you know what's happening to the things happening in the game and what are the narratives of the game, you actually know what are being taught to them or how they are influencing our new generation. So here's the topic. I'm not going to repeat it. Basically, it's still ecolinguistics. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the outline, the background of today's talk is definitely Hallidayan ecolinguistics, and the next part will be about framings, construe of reality in the Hallidayan ecolinguistics framework. Then some key takeaways and Q&A. It's very, very simple. But I'm so not prepared, so I'm just I hope I'm going to be all right here. First of all, this is actually a forthcoming book chapter, and I hope this is going to be up soon. Otherwise, you can still use the QR code to read my preprint on ResearchGate. And the editors are Eric Chung and Vin and Jonathan Webster's, Professor Jonathan Webster's. Okay, so first of all, the background of Hallidayan ecolinguistics. We heard Stipe before, so according to Stipe, basically there are two sort of different ways of talking about ecolinguistics. From Einar Haugen, introduction of ecology of language, or language ecology, or the studies of interactions between any given language and its environment. Okay, but for us, of course, we care more about Halliday. So Halliday says Halliday basically is the presentation that he gave at the International Associations of Applied Linguistics, and he's been credited as being the most important work towards ecolinguistics that we know today. Stephenson says that these are the two main approaches within the field of ecolinguistics, where Haugen roots the ecolinguistics in sociolinguistics and bilingualism, whereas Halliday's one is rooted in applied linguistics. Right, and of course we have to talk about Phil and Moholsler. I hope my pronunciation is close to how they are pronounced. The Hallidayan ecolinguistics focuses mainly on the impact of language on the environment. Language on the environment. So in terms of framing, because when we talk about ecolinguistics, we talk about good and bad and what's the damage to the environment, the planet, and all that kind of things, all to do with framings. So frames and framings as a construe of reality in Hallidayan ecolinguistics, and these are the scholars who have actually mentioned frames and framings in it. But I'm going to select a few of them that are relevant today. So according to Locky, frames include semantic roles, relations between roles, and relations to other frames. And then we have Russer. Russer said, frames and framings generally precedes the existence of an injustice that needs to be remedied. And of course, Halliday mentioned that language does not passively reflect reality, language actively creates reality. And that lexical grammar shapes experience and transforms our perception into meanings. And all to that, you can still see how frames are being, sort of construed from Halliday's perspective through SFL. Right, and then of course we have our Professor Christian Matheson here, of course with Halliday's. But there's a small problem to the whole my project, my research, because systemic functional theory was not oriented towards philosophy and logic. So that's something that Alexander and Stipe have observed as well. The Hallidayan ecolinguistics approach, in addition to the investigations on the level of general grammar and language, should pair with a collection of underlying philosophical assumptions that form a foundation grounding the normative orientation to judge the ecological discourse in questions. So basically, it kind of tells you that the grammar analysis itself is not going to be enough. You do need a philosophical framework to back it up, and then you can make everything work together. And so, what do we need? We need to select an ecosophy, so ecological philosophy, and it's essential foundation for critical language evaluators, as it guides ethical assessments of discourse frames. Whereas for Larson, he said that the ecosophy of socio-ecological sustainability advocates for fostering the balanced relationship between humans and nature. So prioritizing coexistence over preserving ecosystems devoid of human presence, which is very important because when you talk about protecting the planet, if you don't put that into the ecosophy, meaning that just delete all humans, then the planet will be safe, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So you have to make sure that it's a coexistence framework, the philosophy there, in order to make everything possible for discussions. All right, now let's moving on to the game part. A lot of us, let's just put it that way, a lot of us linguists, we're not really interested in games. But however, if you look at the kind of revenue globally, you can see that games are earning 3 times more revenue as compared to music and movie industry combined every year. That business is tremendous, it's huge. There's a lot of capital put inside, a lot of revenue coming out. We have research in music, we have research in movies. How many of us actually touch on games and the narratives of games, like people writing multimodality, everything, storylines, scripts, and how many people are playing? So in talk about the influence level compared to movies and music, games is a huge resource for us. So this is also what I'm advocating today. All right, so my research involves the following steps. All right, I'm going to zoom into each of them. First of all, I built a word script database, which is very easy. Got it from internet, and then put it into a database, clean it up, a total of 20 game chapters obtained. Step 2 is that I go into the database, and obviously because I also play the game, so it'll be easy for me to find out what are the key keywords related to ecolinguistics or ecology or the planet. So these 3 words, Shinra, Mako, and Avalanche appears. Shinra is a electric power company. Mako is, if you think about petroleum or gas and oil, that's kind of equivalent to that. And Avalanche is the good guys. They are the planet's protector. So you can see the Shinra, the bad guy, narrative, Mako, the resource, and Avalanche, the people who are trying to fight for the planet. More on that later. Next over, it's so once I've got all the keywords sorted, it's going to the qualitative analysis part. So we have to dig up certain scenes and looking at the monologues and see how the ideologies is being portrayed and construed. All right, and step 3 is then applying our SFL framework into it. So my focus would be on transitivity, and when transitivity is not enough, I will go into appraisal as well. So for appraisal, I'll focus on attitude analysis and for the interpersonal meaning. All right. And then basically that's the analytical framework. Obviously, this is thanks to Notebook LM for helping me generate such a nice diagram here. One thing I don't really like about it is just a bit blurry. So if you were looking at the diagram just now, you find it a bit blurry. It's not you, it's me. Oh, it's Notebook LM. So there are many things I talked about in my paper. I have selected 2 scenes for you. Definitely nothing to do with food pattern, but that's what it is. YouTube. Okay, so this is first scene.
This is Midgar, our home, recreated in 1/10,000th scale. As you can see here, the 8 Mako reactors form a ring around the center of our city and keep Midgar running day and night.
So the power company has reactors.
Flows beneath our feet is a truly limitless resource. At Shinra, we've developed technologies to extract it and transform it into the fuel and electricity that powers everything we do. Thanks to the miracle of Mako energy, our lives are richer and better than ever before. Mako keeps our lights on at night and made Midgar into the city that never sleeps. A triumph of technology and testament to man's potential. Nothing but a bunch of lies.
Right, so you can see that is actually a museum exhibit where the company has this on a very high top building building, like the one that we're in now, top floor, and then people go visit, and then they look at these exhibits, and then they got these promotional things that they tell you how important our company is. We help to sustain everybody's life, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then these are the Avalanche people. They went into the building, and then they saw what's being promoted, and of course disagreed. A bunch of lies. So that's the first one, and then okay, this is the second one.
This pump's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry while you sleep, while you eat, while you shit. It's here sucking up Mako. It doesn't rest, and it doesn't care. You do realize what Mako is, don't you? Mako is the lifeblood of our world. The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do.
Get out.
So you got right. So first, the first video was like talking about from the company's perspective what we're doing for humankind, and then this is for the Earth's protectors' point of view, what we are, what these evil people are doing to our planet. All right. So at the time when I was playing this, immediately I was thinking about the oil industry. What they are doing for people, the good and the bad side. Right? And this is the kind of sort of things that all game players get to experience. So I take these two scenes, of course, more scenes I took that I talked about in my paper, my chapter. But here are the transitivity of framing of Mako, the Mako itself, all right, just the fuel in this game. This is the Shinra's to the public version, and the transitivity analysis based on, of course, Hallidayan and Matheson's 2014. Now this, I know everybody's looking at this in great detail, but I thought this is not a very good presentation not a very good way to present. So I've got you a simplified version, which is just a simple tree diagram, which kind of makes it easier, I guess. So the yellow are the relational intensives, and then the the blues are the materials. So you can see that should make it easier for everybody to understand this time now, right? So the actor, token, Mako, materials. So materials floats, powers, keeps, made, go, everything we do, our lights on, so on and so forth. It's pretty easy, right, to see. Hopefully better than the table format. But yeah, so from the power company's perspective to the public, that this is what they're trying to sell. Right. The same thing Mako, but based on the Avalanche, the Earth's protectors' perspective. Of course, all of that translating into just this, all right, the essentials. All right, actor, token, behaviors, Mako, planet, relationals. Okay, it's the lifeblood of our planet, bleeds green, and crying out in pain. All right, simple. All right, and hopefully that's everybody's getting the feeling from how useful our SFL can be for analyzing this. Then going on to framing of the Shinra Electric Power Company, how the company sees themselves. So simplifying that into this. The 8 Mako reactors, Shinra technology, materials, forms, keep, developed, transform, ring, keep Mika running, develop technologies, transform fuels, electricity that powers everything we do, circumstances around the center of our city, day and night. So it's all about contributions, right? Very good contributions from the company itself. But from Shinra's from the Avalanche perspective, the company is doing this. The pump, or it, drains the planet dry, is sucking up Mako while you sleep, while you eat, while you doesn't care, and doesn't rest. All right. So I guess it's very clear now that they have for two different ideologies from the different perspectives here. Framing of the attitude. So this is the attitude analysis now, and obviously, sorry, a bit too quick here. All right, so we've got the judgments, mostly appreciation as well. From Shinra's perspective, they are pretty positive about themselves. Right, they're pretty positive about what they do. We've got that, and for the from the Avalanche's perspective, then the company is mostly negative, right? As we kind of expect already. Okay, and I'm going to combine all of these two, putting it into two nicer tables, smaller tables, and we can see how the two actually compares to one another. All right, very positive views from the Shinras, and negative, but also reasonable ones on the bottom here. Okay, and so putting all of that together, what does that mean? Don't worry, it seems daunting, but it isn't. All right, so basically the four frames of fossil view rhetoric that we do. Now I'm putting it, we call it going back to the fossil view. Why? Because we're trying to bring the story back to our real life. So in real life, there's something called techno-optimism framing, which is the belief that innovative technologies can solve climate change without requiring fundamental social changes. Okay, another necessitarianism, another kind of framing. The notion that industry provides a necessary service that improves global quality of life. We know that, right? And in real life, they also have another one. So compliance and countermeasures. So adhering to the standards and using strategies that indirectly counteracts the harm done by the industry. This is what companies do in real life. If you look at their financial reports, okay, like big fossil fuel companies, that's what they do. In the game, they try to the script writers, story writers map it back into mako. So Shinra applies the techno-optimism by framing mako energy as a triumph of technology, right? And then next one, the city that never sleeps, using necessitarianism. Shinra argues mako is essential to keeping Midgard's light on. And then the same thing here, maybe not the same, but slightly different. So a strategic erasure. So Shinra ignores compliance, different from the real world, because it is the law. Because Shinra is the law, because they establish the law. They're the governing body. They set up what the law is all about. Okay, and erases environmental harms entirely. So, comparing corporate entities to Shinra's rhetoric, the real life versus what Shinra is like in the game. Techno-optimism, okay? ExxonMobil, Shells, compared to the miracle of energy. All right, necessitarianism, improving quality of life for many people. Our lives are richer, better than ever before. Compliance, well, in real life, these companies try to do compliance, and the story, Shinra doesn't. They don't care. We are the law. We do what we want. All right, and that's the summary for the whole thing. Okay, so the key takeaways to my talk already, it's point one, digital games, especially role-playing games, the RPGs, offer huge opportunities for research in various topics such as ecolinguistics, politics, power, class, ideologies. A lot of the terms that Hallidayan has mentioned in his paper and his work on ecolinguistics. Studies on pop culture can reach the general public more easily. I think everybody kind of sort of agree. If you are in research in pop culture, there's going to be a lot more audience. And digital games designers, dialogues writers may embed real-world issues and meanings into their work, as we hopefully you all see today, waiting for players or us to discover. And finally, everybody should play or at least read about the game. All right, it's episode 1, episode 2, episode 3 coming out. I'm not earning any money from them by saying that, but it is indeed, because this is remake game. It's a remake of a classic game, FF7, back in 1997. It was a time when there was a lot of Gulf War at that time, destruction of the planet happening. So that's why the game designers designed that game, and then now 25 years later, they remade this game. Okay, so a little bit of a promo. I do have another talk upcoming tomorrow, and it's something completely different. It's on Gen AI assisted SFL research. Okay, and it's also related to an upcoming call for papers or special issues for the Linguistics and Human Sciences journal. Okay, so come to my session tomorrow to learn more about this. Okay, and so thank you very much. This is the Q&A sessions. Feel free to ask any questions if you have, and if you're still here. My recent publications on SFL and ecolinguistics, but definitely look at this one because this is one of my and Professor Christian Matheson's, hard work. We were actually looking at revisiting Halliday's classic 1990 and how that's different now that we published that in 2023. So how many years later? 33 years later, right? What has changed since Halliday's time? So very, very important paper. Do give us a read. All right, thank you. Thank you. That's all. That's all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay.